Hello, my name is Grace Sternbaum. I'm sure we are all familiar with energy drinks like Red Bull or Monster or even just like a cup of coffee. I know me personally, I am very familiar with caffeine consumption. I always tend to go grab an energy drink on my way to class every single morning. Caffeine consumption is so widely used within the younger generation because of its easy access and it's always just a great pick me up when you need that good boost of energy or you're just feeling tired or kind of down. I'm intrigued to see how is this caffeine affecting sleep in the younger adults? In this presentation, I will be talking about how caffeine does not have an impact on the quantity of sleep, but rather the quality of sleep the young adults are receiving. I will be talking about how the older you are getting, the more caffeine is impacting your sleeping habits, how caffeine is impacting our sleep in ways that we just aren't feeling or noticing, and how the time of the day we are consuming this caffeine and trying to fall asleep is impacting our sleeping habits. In the first source, Caroline Drapeau studied a group of middle aged adults and younger adults to see if there was a difference in their sleeping habits after consuming caffeine. Each group received 200 milligrams of caffeine and then were told to fall asleep later that night. In the results, they found out that caffeine had a much greater negative impact on the middle aged adults comparing it to the younger adults. The younger adults received much more sleep than the middle aged adults, and the middle aged adults did not have quality of sleep after the consumption of caffeine when you're comparing it to the younger adults. So it is good to keep in mind that the older you're getting, the more that caffeine is affecting your sleeping habits. The next study was conducted by Julie Carrier, who studied at the University of Montreal and is a sleep researcher. She conducted a study to see if the time of the day you were sleeping after consuming caffeine impacted your sleeping habits and the quality of sleep that you are receiving. She did two different age groups as well, middle aged groups and younger aged groups. And I'm sure if you are a graveyard worker or you are a nurse or plan on being a nurse, I'm sure those late night shifts are extremely brutal and caffeine consumption is definitely much needed. But it is good to keep in mind that in the study, she realized that caffeine caused a greater impact on your sleep during the day. And the caffeine impacted the amount of sleep they received and it also affected the amount of deep sleep they received. So even though they were getting hours of sleep, they weren't receiving good quality sleep after consuming the caffeine. And both age groups actually had a harder ability to fall asleep after consuming this caffeine. In the last study, which was conducted by Julie Webel, she had 20 young adult males and she compared their sleeping habits after consuming caffeine at very normal times during the day, like in the morning or early afternoon. And these adults that she conducted this experiment on were regular caffeine consumers. In the study, she realized that the caffeine did not impact the amount of sleep that they received or the time that they in which they fell asleep, but she noticed that the people that were consuming the caffeine had a slight difference in their brain activity when they consumed that caffeine. That slight difference could be from the withdrawal in the nighttime because of that continuous stimuli during the day. So when you're constantly drinking caffeine every single day, your brain is actually withdrawing from it while you are trying to sleep, so that can cause that slight brain difference. These are the sources that I have used. It's always good to keep in mind that when you're drinking that cup of coffee or having that Red Bull, that those are impacting our sleeping habits as young adults. And as we get older, it's good to know that it's actually hurting our sleeping habits much more than we are younger adults. I think that it is really good to note that when our sleeping habits are affected, it can then gravitate towards work, our work environment and also school performance just because that we are not getting that good quality deep sleep that our body deserves after drinking that caffeine. Next time you have a Red Bull or a cup of coffee, just remember that that sleep afterwards is also important and to keep mind of the quality of sleep that you are receiving. Thank you.